Welcome to Healthier Together, Larimer County's public health podcast, where we come together for healthier lives, connected communities, and real conversations. From your local public health team, I'm your host, Tom.
And I'm Joanna. Today, we're joined by Ricardo Perez, Public Engagement Manager for the Larimer County Office of Emergency Management, here to talk about wildfires. Ricardo, thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Is there a wildfire season in Larimer County?
Really good question. So I think years back, we usually have had more of a traditional wildfire season in the summer months. But as we've seen in recent years, it's more of a year-long wildfire season now. We're having extremely dry and warm conditions in the winter months and the fall months. So now we've transitioned into more of a year-long wildfire season, with still more of an increased wildfire threat in the summer months, right? With the months that are more warm and dry, that are typically kind of the mid-year, late spring to full summer. That's the heightened wildfire risk season, but it is really nowadays year-long wildfire season.
Based on current conditions, what level of risk for wildfires are we expecting to see this summer?
As we've seen in the first 3 months of the year, it's been extremely dry, extremely warm. So we've had multiple incidents in which we've had red flag warnings, even as early as, January, February, March in the year. So it has been extremely dry and warm, as well as windy, that are all critical wildfire conditions. So that's what we're preparing for for the rest of the year, and certainly in the kind of heightened wildfire season, which is the summer, late spring, is to continue to have kind of dry conditions, warm conditions that are kind of those critical wildfire threat. Yeah, from what we can see, from what we're preparing and what we're expecting, definitely a heightened wildfire risk year.
You mentioned that we've already had some red flag warnings this year. I know I've gotten them. What is a red flag warning?
Good question. So the red flag warning is sent out by the National Weather Service. So it's a notification when there is, again, heightened wildfire risk, which is low humidity, warm conditions over a period of time, multiple days. So if we've had warm conditions for, more than a few days, and we're really low humidity, and we also have winds and kind of in the environment, that's a National Weather Service notification to let people know that there's critical fire danger because of these conditions that have come out. So red flag warning means that there's all the components in dry, hot, warm weather, and maybe wind to have that critical wildfire risk. So it's a notification to let folks know, no outside burning, limit your areas of recreation if they involve any kind of ignition, but it's a notification ahead of time to let people know that there's critical wildfire risk, and it differentiates from a fire watch. So a fire watch is more the components of dry conditions, warm conditions as well, warm temperatures and winds could be in the area. They could be coming together.
What can people do to help prevent wildfires?
I think the biggest thing is to obviously sign up for emergency alerts. That's more on the personal preparedness, but also following local fire restrictions if there are some, just to limit any uncontrolled burning, no smoking in natural areas kind of thing. So those are good ways to try and reduce the risk of wildfire spreading. So folks can follow kind of your local sheriff, local fire agency guidelines on restricting fire. Obviously, things like no fireworks. But also, if you see any smoke, you can let people know. You can call 911, right? Kind of help our first responders. But there's a lot of first responders kind of already preparing and looking to respond.
What steps can people take now so that they're prepared in the event of an emergency?
Really good question. So we broke it down into three main steps in our office. So number one, kind of sign up for emergency alerts. It's crucial for you to be able to receive the emergency notifications when there is a disaster and emergency. Number two is kind of make a plan, a personal preparedness plan, a go kit, an evacuation plan, and with your family or your folks that you live at home with, a communication plan of how you're going to meet up with folks. And then number three, kind of checking on your neighbors as well. So 3 steps are signing up for emergency alerts, nocoalert.org. Sign up for all the emergency alerts in the county. Making a plan. We have a lot of information on our website on making a go kit, personal preparedness plans on medications, important documents that you can, think ahead and plan if you need to evacuate, planning for your pets, all the personal preparedness things under kind of that making the plan step, and then checking on your neighbors, right? So, if you know that you're in a neighborhood where maybe you have folks that have different needs, or maybe folks are working and then there's an evacuation notice, and, is there something that you can help them with, or even older adults or youth, that may need assistance. So, yeah, sign up for emergency alerts, making a plan, and then checking on your neighbors.
You mentioned emergency alerts. How can people sign up for alerts?
Folks in Larimer County can sign up for emergency alerts at nocoalert.org. So that's through the Larimer Emergency Telephone Authority. Once you go to nocoalert.org, you can create an account. It's at no fee, but you can select up to 5 locations in which you want to receive emergency notifications in: home or your place of work, or family or friends that you want to receive notifications in. And through this opt-in at nocoalert.org, you can also share if you have any additional considerations, such as oxygen dependency or need help evacuating, mobility restrictions, things of that sort that can help our first responders respond. But yeah, all that information is at nocoalert.org. And folks can also sign up for emergency alerts in different languages through the ReachWell application that folks can download on their smartphones, and then they can select the language that they want to receive emergency notifications in. And then the ReachWell app translates those emergency alerts. The other way for folks to sign up for emergency alerts that may need American Sign Language is through DeafLink. So DeafLink is the translation service for emergency alerts in Larimer County. ReachWell is the similar application, but for languages other than English. Those are both components of NoCoAlert. DeafLink translates the emergency notification into an interpreter that's American Sign Language interpreting through video. And then when folks need that emergency notification, if they have signed up through DeafLink, they will receive that American Sign Language notification.
When you sign up for NoCo alerts, can you choose how you'd like to receive notifications, whether that's through text, email, phone call?
Yes. So NoCoAlert and the LITA, the Larimer Emergency Telephone Authority, have kind of a suite of multiple ways in which community members can receive emergency notifications. When you opt into emergency alerts at nocoalert.org, you can select kind of text notifications and then the type of notifications that you want to receive. You can also get a call of that emergency notification. So there's different ways folks can receive that notification. And there's also, that's kind of the NoCoAlert emergency alert ways. If folks have also a landline, people may still have landlines if they're in an evacuation area. NoCoAlert and LITA can send notifications to landlines. The specific component there for landlines is people have to be in the home and pick up the phone with the landline to receive the notification. So text notifications, call notifications on mobile phones are better than kind of having to always be next to your landline to receive the notification. And then obviously there's the watching the news media, on television, on the radio. Those are also ways to get emergency alerts.
When there is an active emergency going on, where should people go for information?
Yeah, so folks should always go to trusted sources of information. In Larimer County, our Larimer County Sheriff's Office shares a lot of information for when we do have wildfires or any kind of emergencies. The Larimer County Sheriff's Office is typically the lead agency sharing incident information. Our Office of Emergency Management at the county usually supports the information that they put out to the public. So Larimer County Sheriff's Office is a great trusted source of information, and so is the Larimer Emergency Telephone Authority, LITA, Larimer OEM, our health department as well. And then Larimer County as a government is also a good source. Others are local fire agencies, local police departments as well. Those are kind of, depending on the area that you live in. If you live in Larimer County Sheriff's Office, obviously, and if you live in a specific community within Larimer, your local fire department as well, and police.
I know we've gotten questions here at the health department about community moderated platforms like Watch Duty. How does the Office of Emergency Management interact with Watch Duty, and how would you recommend community members use platforms like that during an emergency?
Really good question. Watch Duty, we've seen be very helpful for community members. So just in the way that they're sharing information, in the speed that they're sharing information, in an incident can be a helpful tool. Absolutely. And I think in our office and kind of our folks that we work with in the first responder world, we'd push folks straight to the source. Like if the sheriff's office is the main agency in command of the fire and they are the lead public information agency, we would suggest folks to go straight to the source.
In the event of an evacuation, are there resources available for people with pets or large animals?
Yeah, so in the multiple wildfires and emergencies that we've had in Larimer County, we always suggest folks that make a plan for their pets. Your pets also need water, food, medications, a kennel, the basic things. So folks really should make a plan for their pets as well as their kind of their own personal preparedness plan. But in the emergencies we've had, we've worked with the Larimer Humane Society for small animals and pets, coordinate resources for folks that are evacuating, due to wildfires or other emergencies. And then for large animals, we've worked with the ranch to help large animal sheltering. Yeah, that's a big component for emergency evacuations is pets, large animals. So we work with kind of the partners in those areas to help provide resources for folks.
And then what about for people with specific medical needs, things like oxygen tanks or in home care? Are there resources available to support them during an evacuation?
Yeah. So, as I was mentioning before, with NOCO Alert, to be able to share if you have, an oxygen dependency or mobility restrictions, that's information that is also helpful for first responders. But in the incident where an emergency is moving and maybe there isn't time for first responders to go check on everybody's door, if they have shared that they have a medical equipment or medical needs or need help evacuating, that information is helpful, but similar as a personal plan or pet preparedness plan, folks kind of need to see if they can plan ahead of time for information for medical, equipment, medical needs, energy dependent needs. But we have information on our website for folks that need to prepare for energy dependent medical needs. The idea is to help folks with the information, with the resources, and anybody in our Office of Emergency Management can kind of walk through folks that are curious about what does it take for me to, I have an automatic wheelchair or have an oxygen kind of situation that I need to kind of live every day. What does that look like? Be prepared if I need to evacuate. Folks in our office can help kind of walk through you some of the resources, some of the information, some of the steps to plan ahead, obviously, and signing up with that additional considerations through NOCO Alert is definitely a great tool. But folks should also kind of start their personal preparedness plan for the same reason that, maybe there's not enough time for first responders.
Is there anything people frequently forget during an emergency?
Sometimes, depending on the incident, there's not a lot of time to act, right? And maybe you have running on high emotions. And if maybe you haven't kind of outlined your evacuation plan, you may have a list of things that you need to do if you have that evacuation notice, like gathering things for your pet, gathering your important documents, your medications, a go bag, clothes for a few days kind of thing. Those things can start to kind of amount on the list of things that you need to do in an evacuation notice. And if it's a mandatory evacuation, that mandatory evacuation notice is kind of telling you to get your things in and get out of there as soon as possible. So with heightened emotions, a long list of things to do, folks could kind of forget multiple things depending on kind of what the situation kind of entails. So that's why we suggest folks to try to plan ahead. Planning for emergencies is not urgent, right? If we don't have an emergency right now, it's not urgent. But at the moment that it becomes urgent, it's too late. So any work that you can do ahead of time to outline some of the major things that you could do, maybe put all your important things near a drawer near kind of your exit of your home. So you can just, as you get that evacuation notice, if you need to evacuate, you can just go into one place and get the things and go.
Are there things people can do or perhaps refrain from doing during a wildfire in order to support emergency responders?
Again, I think it's helpful for folks in the community to always sign up for emergency alerts, right? If we have different types of emergencies in the county. So the emergency alerts are really specific to the incident and to the emergency happening, right? When we have a wildfire, it may be an evacuation. But if we have things like a winter storm or critical weather, that actually an evacuation is not the best, action for community members to take. Maybe they need to shelter in place, right? Maybe there's a security thing happening in your neighborhood, and you wouldn't know what to do if you don't receive the information. So that's why emergency alerts are really important. They're real-time information. They actually tell you what's going on and then what's the safest action for community members to take. If folks are receiving evacuation notices, that is very helpful for first responders, is for folks to evacuate, right? So following the information is really helpful to first responders in emergencies.
After a wildfire, once people are able to return to their homes, what sort of risks are there for the community?
One big risk that happens post wildfire is post wildfire flooding because of the burn scar. So when the landscape is burned because of the wildfire, any water that falls in that area over the next number of years isn't absorbed as maybe an area that is not burned. So that makes it extremely dangerous for any kind of precipitation to not be absorbed and cause flooding. So a big risk from post-fire wildfire is that flooding that we've seen also after Cameron Peak in different areas. Other areas are more of the environmental, food safety things. If you have any chemicals that have been burned in your home that could be toxic, working with the local health department and folks that are helping folks kind of re-enter areas that have been damaged by wildfires is crucial. We typically in Larimer OEM provide a list of resources for in the recovery phase of wildfire. Again, to kind of highlight some of the risks coming out, some of the resources, information that folks could learn to be kind of coming back to their homes and know of the things that are helpful at that point.
Is there anything you wish more people knew about wildfires or emergency preparedness in general?
Yeah, I think I'll kind of reiterate what I mentioned earlier of, planning for emergencies. You can have so many other things, so many other priorities throughout your life, which are really important. So we have a bunch of community education classes, workshops, information on our website and things that we do in our community just to help kind of try and make it easy for folks. Everybody has many priorities in their life. But again, at the moment where emergency preparedness becomes urgent, it's too late. So, I'd encourage folks to chat with their neighbors, chat with their community, their family, friends. Maybe somebody has taken an emergency preparedness class at this point, willing to share information. But at Larimer OEM, we have a kind of a different ways in which we can show folks how to prepare for emergencies. We have preparedness videos in English and in Spanish on our website that kind of show folks how to do a go kit, kind of explain the different evacuation notices that we have at the county. So folks can go on our website and kind of reach out to us, anybody in our team, to learn about preparedness information, but also taking action is the best way to be prepared.
I've seen that the Office of Emergency Management offers Dare to Prepare classes to help people prepare for an emergency. If listeners are interested in enrolling in one of those classes or want to connect with the Office of Emergency Management, where can they go?
Yeah, absolutely. So the website is larimer.gov/emergency. That's our Larimer County Office of Emergency Management website. The Dare to Prepare classes are there. They're quarterly. There's quarterly opportunities throughout the year to sign up, participate in those preparedness classes. And then other jurisdictions in the county also have their versions of preparedness classes. So any type of preparedness class is helpful. There's different options throughout the county.
Thank you so much for joining us, Ricardo.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Do you have a question about public health in Larimer County or a topic you'd like us to discuss? Let us know. Email us at healthiertogether@larimer.org. Thanks for listening, Larimer County.
Until next week, stay well, stay connected, and remember, we really are healthier together.